Good morning from Titania's realm at Sacred Space, or vice versa. Same, different day, same motif. It's Saturday, Shabbat Shalom to my Jew crew, and it's the 29th of November 2025. Year is nearly over. 2025's been a very difficult year for me, actually. Very painful, but no different to all the other years, I guess. But yeah, it started off rough losing Charlie, and it just kept devolutioning from there on in. Anyway, the time is 10:56 a.m. and it's a humid, cloudy, morose looking day. Hopefully we'll get rain soon, but whether it will cool the air down, I don't know. As you can hear by the scuffling, I've brought my little birdie boys in here with me for the air conditioning. What you doing, Kermie? You're climbing all over the cage. Yes. Hope he doesn't fly into my very valuable crystal, but I'm taking the chance. It's just too hot in the other room. And they're struggling and I'm struggling, and we have the blessing and the immense gift of the air conditioning, so I thought I'll take full advantage of it for today. The heat is literally killing us. I posted this on Instagram and on Facebook as I do when I complete a project. Some of you may not be on there, so I'll show you what I finished off last night. The alpaca fleece, still got to be washed and rolled into a ball, but it's beautiful. Oh, it feels so beautiful against my skin. It's so soft. I don't know what I'm going to knit it into, but it's been interesting. I had a lot of difficulty plying it last night because for some reason the wheel wouldn't turn, and I was hand winding it on in the end. Great frustration. I kind of made it work, but so again it's rustic and a bit rough. And you can see the bits that I got right were very, very good. And the bits that were like not working out were woeful. But what can I say? We reached completion on that last night about 11:36 p.m. it was. I was exhausted. What else have I got? So I've got, yes, I've still got an immense amount of alpaca to do. I'm so glad though that I've been transmuting all of this, because it's been lying around for 3 years. Even Beauregard, my dog, helped me card some of the wool with his little canine teeth, and happy memories actually. So it's all finally getting transmuted into balls of wool that can be worked with, and it'll declutter my spare room, which basically stores a lot of my art projects, because it's a massive big bag of wool that is now, I've almost completed transmuting it all, and the balls of wool take up a lot less space than large quantities of fleece. But you know what will happen, don't you, people of Earth? I'll finish it all off, and then someone will gift me, or I'll acquire from someone, or I'll buy more fleece. The lovely lady at Capalaba Produce has already offered me alpaca fleece from her alpacas, but I won't know until August if that's going to actually happen, because we've got to talk to the shearer. She says comes up from Goulburn, and he may take it back with him. He may do something with it himself, so I won't get my heart set on it. But I'll keep my eye out, you know, from time to time. It's a lot of work when you get a fleece fresh off the animal. You got to wash it several times and card it, brush it all out, and oh my God, actually that's the biggest amount of work. So I hope to be able to afford a carding machine before I buy more fleece, so I don't have the strain of all that hard work. But as I said, my little doggy helped me, and it was like a little family homesteading little business for a while there. Not that it's a business, I don't make money out of anything, tragically. No one pays me. It's like I'm utterly worthless and undeserving of success, people of Earth. It's a block I'm trying to overcome, and I get very frustrated about it at times. But, you know, I made some beautiful wools, and that one's going to be beautiful. And I'll knit something, you know, for myself or for friends with it. It's I don't care if I don't actually make money from my endeavours, although, you know, money is a resource that's greatly needed, especially in these dark, turgid times. And any money I could make, I could buy silver or gold and do more silversmithing activities. So something to think about anyway, how I'm going to get out of this holding pattern that the gods have kept me on for 31 years, including sabotaging of any love potentiates, because that's how some people prosper, actually, by having a partner to help bring in food and help pay rent and help pay bills. But I had lovers years ago that just basically bludged on me, so there is that. Although Courtney didn't really. I mean, Courtney, he didn't take me out for dinner because he was cheap in that regard, but he did actually spend a lot of time and effort, and sometimes some of his own money, in fixing my little Mazda 121 car. So, you know, he wasn't completely stingy and delegitimizing and debasing, although it didn't help when his friends started threatening me. That was an ugliness beyond worlds. But anyway, I can't say he was completely stingy, and it was his mother that planted the seed all those many years ago about spinning wool and having a spinning wheel. It took 15, 20 years for that to manifest. So interesting. It's a nice hobby. It's, you know, you're pulling out it's called drafting the fleece, and the wheel spins it and you're letting it go. It's kind of a metaphor for my life, isn't it? Holding on while letting go. Sorting out the tangles and the snarls, and the lipstick's gone all funny. And, you know, making something out of shifting from one form into another that can be put to good creative generative use. So there is that. It's quite windy outside now, so I think we're going to get a bit of a storm, but that's good. It's really, really good. The only problem with all the rain we're getting is the bloody grass is growing, so we're paddling as fast as we can, trying to keep the lawns all neat and tidy. Looked so lovely when my lawnmower man came the other day. It always looks lovely when it's freshly done. Anyway, what can I say, people of Earth, but life is beautiful. Right, we're up to chapter 3 of Alice in Wonderland. I'm just gonna adjust my seat. I'm sitting a bit far back, or I don't know what it's doing. Weird things. That's better. Right. A caucus race and a long tail, spelt T-A-L-E as in story. They were indeed a queer-looking party that assembled on the bank, the birds with draggled feathers, the animals with their fur clinging close to them, and all dripping wet, cross, and uncomfortable. The first question, of course, was how to get dry again. They had a consultation about this, and after a few minutes it seemed quite natural to Alice to find herself talking familiarly with them, as if she had known them all her life. Could do with another cup of tea, actually. Indeed, she had quite a long argument with the Lory, who at last turned sulky and would only say, "I am older than you and must know better." And this Alice would not allow without knowing how old it was. And as the Lory positively refused to tell its age, there was no more to be said. At last the Mouse, who seemed to be a person of some authority among them, called out, "Sit down, all of you, and listen to me. I'll soon make you dry enough." They all sat down at once in a large ring, with the Mouse in the middle. Alice kept her eyes anxiously fixed on it, for she felt sure she would catch a bad cold if she did not get dry very soon. Yes, because in England it's always cold and damp and wet, and you actually do get pneumonia from getting caught out in the rain there. You get caught out in the rain here and you dry within minutes afterwards. It's one of the lovely things about living in the subtropics. The downside of that is too much rain creates mould. Our houses get all mouldy and we get sick from that. It's quite awful. But apart from the mould and the humidity, it can be quite lovely when it rains. How does that song go? I'm only happy when it rains. There goes my horrible neighbour, whom I detest. This dog's taking a dump on the front verge. He's oblivious because he's pushing his lawnmower. Oh well, shits happen, don't they? It's a nice little dog. Yeah, it's really squatting and going for it. Oh yes, work it, baby, work it. What a sight. Oh well, she's a constipated little cavoodle. A constipated cavoodle sounds like the beginning of a poem. Once there was a dead shit doodle who owned a constipated cavoodle. He didn't care 'cause he was square and she shat anyway. Words to that effect, you understand. It really is constipated. It's still straining. What are you feeding a dog, you mad bastard? Look at it, poor little thing. There's nothing more cute and adorable than a constipated cavoodle. It's still going, oh, wait, let's have bets on how long it'll take. Here we go. Push it, baby, push it, you're giving birth. She's like, shut up, Mama T, I've got dog hearing, I can hear you from over here. She probably can, she looked over. Oh, now she's walking away with it, walking away from it. Oh well. She doesn't look all that relieved, so I suspect it didn't happen. Poor little thing. You know, we poisoned all our dogs. My dog was poisoned by a I can't even say the name because they sue people, but they've poisoned millions of animals across the world. It starts with B. Vets still sell it on their front counters, fully conscious that it kills dogs. It's a genocide of dogs. It's monstrous. So, You know, that's how it kind of starts too. They can't shit properly. I mustn't think about it because we don't want to point the bone at poor little Ellie. She's a little sweetheart, and no dogs deserve to suffer the way they made my dog suffer. But anyway, mustn't think about it or I truly will go insane. I did go insane with grief for a while there. It was monstrous what happened to my beautiful bow. Utterly monstrous. Right, so Alice is worried about catching a bad cold if she doesn't get dry very soon. You know, 'cause England. Ahem, said the mouse with an important air. Are you all ready? This is the driest thing I know. Silence all round, if you please. William the Conqueror, whose cause was favoured by the Pope, was soon submitted to by the English, who wanted leaders, and had been of late much accustomed to usurpation and conquest. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria. Ugh, said the Lory, with a shiver. I beg your pardon, said the mouse, frowning, but very politely. Did you speak? Not I, said the Lory, hastily. I thought you did, said the mouse. I proceed. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria, declared for him, and even Stigand, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury, found it advisable. Found what? Said the duck. Found it, the mouse replied rather crossly. Of course you know what it means. I know what it means well enough when I find a thing, said the duck. It's generally a frog or a worm. The question is, what did the Archbishop find? The mouse did not notice this question, but hurriedly went on. Found it advisable to go with Edgar Atheling to meet William and offer him the crown. William's conduct at first was moderate, but the insolence of his Normans— How are you getting on now, my dear? It continued, turning to Alice as it spoke. As wet as ever, said Alice, in a melancholy tone. It doesn't seem to dry me at all. In that case, said the dodo solemnly, rising to its feet, I move that the meeting adjourn for the immediate adoption of more energetic remedies. Speak English, said the eaglet. I don't know the meaning of half those long words, and what's more, I don't believe you do either. And the eaglet bent down its head to hide a smile. Some of the other birds tittered audibly. Sounds like one of our board meetings. Bacon Shalom. Oh God, you have to laugh, don't you? Well, in those days it was BPJC. Oh, the masculine posturing of the alpha males and the fighting between couples, and it was quite stressful, actually. Quite stressful and counterproductive. What I was going to say, said the dodo in an offended tone, was that the best thing to get us dry would be a caucus race. What is a caucus race? Said Alice. Not that she much wanted to know, but the dodo had paused as if it thought that somebody ought to speak, and no one else seemed inclined to say anything. Just how I ended up being board meetings, bored, silently observing the unravelling of yet another congregation. It was a very lovely congregation. Kadima. We were at Kadima by then. That was the nicest of all the bunches of congregations we had formed, and really lovely and spiritual and nice, but the board meetings were something quite dystopian. That's because there were too many egos involved and too many people trying to lead. And in the end, you know, too many cooks in the kitchen, it all fell apart. Petty rivalries and jealousies amongst men can be just as bitchy and undermining as the petty rivalries and jealousies of women. Oh, they were jealous of me, the women. I don't know why. It wasn't after any of their men, I can assure you. I was too heartsick and beaten down back in the day. But, you know, I'd rise up in my own glory and dress up nice and turn up, but that was enough just to piss them off, actually. Just me turning up with a nice frock and fresh attitude and doing my best to belong, you understand. Mama T belongs nowhere with no one, and she's known that for a very, very long time, since early childhood actually, and but you know, every now and then I straighten my crown and strut my stuff, you understand. Why? Said the dodo. The best way to explain it is to do it. I'm just going to grab some leftover chippies I haven't finished. What's my handsome boys doing? My beautiful birdie boys. I'm craving salt because, you know, the heat and what have you. And I just had toast with pastrami and avocado on it. I'm still a bit hungry. There's only one piece of toast, I suppose. Mama T doesn't do hunger, you can tell by my voluptuous form. I actually needed that. I know it's rude to eat and multitask, but I needed that. Right. But carry on, we must, boys. Bo's playing with his toys. Or he was. He was up on that little wooden box thing, playing with his toy, which is good because that's what I bought them for him to play with. Right, people of Earth, I'll just repeat that last sentence where I segued on my little chippy fetish. Why, said the dodo, the best way to explain it is to do it. And as you might like to try the thing yourself some winter day, I will tell you how the dodo managed it. First, it marked out a race course in a sort of circle. The exact shape doesn't matter, it said. And then all the party were placed along the course here and there. There was no 1, 2, 3 and away. But they began running when they liked and left off when they liked, so that it was not easy to know when the race was over. However, When they had been running half an hour or so and were quite dry again, the dodo suddenly called out, "The race is over," and they all crowded round it, panting and asking, "But who has won?" This question the dodo could not answer without a great deal of thought, and it sat for a long time with one finger pressed upon its forehead, the position in which you usually see Shakespeare in the pictures of him, while the rest waited in silence. I don't remember seeing Shakespeare with a finger pressed against his forehead. Where was I this whole time? Being free in another paradigm. Oh, anyway. At last, the dodo said, oh, they mean like this, don't they? Not like this. Right, Mama T can be a bit concrete at times, at other times a bit obtuse. It is what it is. At last the dodo said, "Everybody has won and all must have prizes." "But who is to give the prizes?" quite a chorus of voices asked. "Why, she, of course," said the dodo, pointing to Alice with one finger, and the whole party at once crowded around her, calling out in a confused way, "Prizes! Prizes!" Alice had no idea what to do, and in despair she put her hand into her pocket and pulled out a box of comfits. Luckily the salt water had not got into it, and handed them round as prizes. There was exactly one apiece, all round. "But she must have a prize herself, you know," said the mouse. "Of course," the dodo replied very gravely. "What else have you got in your pocket?" he went on, turning to Alice. "Only a thimble," said Alice sadly. "Hand it over here," said the dodo. Then they all crowded round her once more while the dodo solemnly presented the thimble, saying, "We beg your acceptance of this elegant thimble." And when it had finished this short speech, they all cheered. Alice thought the whole thing very absurd, but they all looked so grave that she did not dare to laugh, and, as she could not think of anything to say, she simply bowed and took the thimble, looking as solemn as she could. It's a bit unfair that she had to gift herself her own prize. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Oh, smallest violin. The next thing was to eat the comfits. This caused some noise and confusion, as the large birds complained that they could not taste theirs, and the small ones choked and had to be patted on the back. However, it was over at last, and they sat down again in a ring and begged the mouse to tell them something more. "You promised to tell me your history, you know," said Alice, "and why it is that you hate C and D," she added in a whisper, half afraid that it would be offended again. "Mine is a long and sad tale," said the mouse, turning to Alice and sighing. "It is a long tale, certainly," said Alice, looking down with wonder at the mouse's tail. "But why do you call it sad?" And she kept on puzzling about it while the mouse was speaking, so that her idea of the tale was something like this. It's a very beautiful tale, if you ask me. But I'm a little bit biased, lover of literature that I am. Fury said to a mouse that he met in the house, "Let us both go to law. I will prosecute you. Come, I'll take no denial. We must have a trial, for really this morning I've nothing to do." Said the mouse to the cur, "Such a trial, dear sir, with no jury or judge, would be wasting our breath. I'll be judge, I'll be jury," said cunning old Fury. "I'll try the whole cause and condemn you to death." Death is in very teeny tiny writing at the bottom of the long sad tale. Of no real significance, you understand, because it's merely a transition into another form, into another life after life after life. But that's my belief system, not necessarily yours, but death comes to us all eventually, and for some it's a sweet, sweet release, just saying. If only I could sort out my love life and my prosperity factors before I died, I could then die with a sense of achievement and satisfaction. The petit mot, the satisfaction that comes from reaching completion with a beautiful man, you understand. Well, we've had a few of those little deaths in our day. Not many, but a few. Some of them were quite astonishing. And death itself has led me a merry dance for decades, 60 and a half years, people of Earth. That too is astonishing, all that I have survived against insurmountable odds. Mustn't think about it, because wouldn't want to have to survive all those things again in a hurry. Hopefully in the next dimension, when I finally get there, it will be eternal rest and peace and surrounded by other beings who only know real and potent and eternal love, people of Earth. Something you'll never find here on this planet. Never in a million, trillion, billion years. Million, billion, trillion years. Got to get the mathematics right. Anyway, we won't think about that. Another thing that a mama too will not think about. It's a beautiful, cloudy, wet, morose day, but it's got potential still. Potential, people of Earth. Life comes down to maximising your potential while fending off Lady Death, who dances you to the end of love anyway, ultimately. Santa Muerte. She's beautiful, beautiful. Right. "You are not attending," said the mouse to Alice severely. There goes the neighbour with the shitter. Both of them shitters, no doubt. Well, everything shits that lives, doesn't it? Don't mind me. "You are not attending," said the mouse to Alice severely. "What are you thinking of?" "I beg your pardon," said Alice very humbly. "You had got to the fifth bend, I think?" "I had not," cried the mouse, sharply and very angrily. "Not," said Alice, always ready to make herself useful and looking anxiously about her. "Oh, do let me help to undo it." I shall do nothing of the sort, said the mouse, getting up and walking away. You insult me by talking such nonsense. I didn't mean it, pleaded poor Alice, but you're so easily offended, you know. The mouse only growled in reply. Please come back and finish your story, Alice called after it, and the others all joined in chorus. Yes, please do. But the mouse only shook its head impatiently and walked a little quicker. What a pity it wouldn't stay, sighed the Lory as soon as it was quite out of sight, and an old crab took the opportunity of saying to her daughter, Ah, my dear, let this be a lesson to you never to lose your temper. Hold your tongue, Ma, said the young crab, a little snappishly. You're enough to try the patience of an oyster. I wish I had our Dina here. I know I do, said Alice aloud, addressing nobody in particular. She'd soon fetch it back. And who is Dina, if I might venture to ask the question? Said the Lory. Alice replied eagerly, for she was always ready to talk about her pet. Dina's our cat, and she's such a capital one for catching mice you can't think. And oh, I wish you could see her after the birds. Why, she'll eat a little bird as soon as look at it. This speech caused a remarkable sensation among the party. Some of the birds hurried off at once. One old magpie began wrapping itself up very carefully, remarking, I really must be getting home. The night air doesn't suit my throat. And a canary called out in a trembling voice to its children, Come away, my dears. It's high time you were all in bed. On various pretexts, they all moved off, and Alice was soon left alone. The problem with truth speakers everywhere is you're always left on your own. People can't handle the truth. Do I care? Not really. Better to be alone than with liars and obsequious, obstinate obfuscators of duty and responsibility to our own species. I wish I hadn't mentioned Dina, she said to herself in a melancholy tone. Nobody seems to like her down here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my dear Dina, I wonder if I shall ever see you any more. And here poor Alice began to cry again, for she felt very lonely and low-spirited. In a long while, however, she again heard a little pattering of footsteps in the distance, and she looked up eagerly, half hoping that the mouse had changed his mind and was coming back to finish his story. And what are my little pattering of little tiny birdie num-num feet doing? Kermie, Bo, little Bobo. Oh, they're so cute and adorable. They really are. Are you enjoying the air conditioning, my boys? It's starting to get cold in here. It's from the sublime to the ridiculous. Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, all summer long. But we had a very early winter. We had the August winds that traditionally come in August arrive in June. We've had an extremely hot late spring. It's technically not even technically summer yet. It's been extremely hot. Well, the Inuit people did predict quite some years ago, actually, that they'd noticed that there was a change and that our Earth had moved its, what is it that moved? Had slipped on its axis and by a certain amount of degrees. What's the word for that? I can't think what it's called now. They were right. Always talk to Indigenous people who observe nature on a daily basis for their merest survival. They are the ones that are the predictors and the wise ones that see changes on it in our planet. Always listen. The earth tells you everything you need to know, but you need to pay attention. Can't be lost in your smartphones and your laptops and computers with your nanobot brains. Stay with your feet firmly planted on the earth and listen to what she teaches you. It's crucial to our survival, actually. Very crucial. Work with her and not against her. For the love of God, stop poisoning her. Guess it's too late for that now, though, isn't it? But if we just stopped, we'd give the planet a chance to heal. It really would. Right, where are we? 42 minutes. We'll go one more chapter, People of Earth, and because uploading, I've got to be conscious of uploading issues. Chapter 4. The rabbit sends in a little bill. It was the white rabbit, trotting slowly back again and looking anxiously about as it went, as if it had lost something, and she heard it muttering to itself, "The Duchess, the Duchess, oh my dear paws, oh my fur and whiskers. She'll get me executed, as sure as ferrets are ferrets. Where can I have dropped them, I wonder?" Alice guessed in a moment that it was looking for the fan and the pair of white kid gloves, and she very good-naturedly began hunting about for them, but they were nowhere to be seen. Everything seemed to have changed since her swim in the pool, and the great hall, with the glass table and the little door, had vanished completely. Very soon the rabbit noticed Alice as she went hunting about and called out to her in an angry tone, "Why, Marianne, what are you doing out here? Run home this moment and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan. Quick now!" And Alice was so much frightened that she ran off at once in the direction it pointed to without trying to explain the mistake that it had made. "He took me for his housemaid," she said to herself as she ran. "How surprised he'll be when he finds out who I am. But I'd better take him his fan and gloves, that is, if I can find them." As she said this, she came upon a neat little house, on the door of which was a bright brass plate with the name W. Rabbit engraved upon it. She went in without knocking and hurried upstairs in great fear lest she should meet the real Marianne and be turned out of the house before she had found the fan and gloves. "How queer it seems," Alice said to herself, "to be going messages for a rabbit. I suppose Dina will be sending me on messages next." And she began fancying the sort of thing that would happen. "Miss Alice, come here directly and get ready for your walk." "Coming in a minute, nurse, and I've got to watch this mouse hole till Dina comes back and see that the mouse doesn't get out." "Only I don't think," Alice went on, "that they'll let Dina stop in the house if it began ordering people about like that." Well, my cat's ordered me about constantly. Made quite an art form out of ordering me about, I might add. Socks languishingly lying with his big fat belly on my kitchen bench demanding food constantly because he was a eater. Oh, he only had to look at me and he'd have me scurrying for food for his dinner. It was a beautiful cat. If a human man treated me like that, he'd get 2 fingers, but pussy cats have a way of winning you over, you understand. Also, they don't have opposable thumbs, so they can't do this to you. And they have other ways, like flicking their tail and hissing and staring at you silently in silent contempt. Oh, they have their own little ways. Miss them all, my beautiful cats. By this time, she had found her way into a tidy little room with a table in the window, and on it, as she had hoped, a fan and 2 or 3 pairs of tiny white kid gloves. She took up the fan and a pair of the gloves and was just going to leave the room when her eye fell upon a little bottle that stood near the looking glass. There was no label this time with the words "Drink me," but nevertheless she uncorked it and put it to her lips. "I know something interesting is sure to happen," she said to herself, "whenever I eat or drink anything, so I'll just see what this bottle does. I do hope it will make me grow large again, for really I'm quite tired of being such a tiny little thing." It did so indeed, and much sooner than she had expected. Before she had drunk half the bottle, she found her head pressing against the ceiling and had to stoop to save her neck from being broken. She hastily put down the bottle, saying to herself, "That's quite enough. I hope I shan't grow any more. As it is, I can't get out at the door. I do wish I hadn't drunk quite so much." Alas, it was too late to wish that. She went on growing and very soon had to kneel down on the floor. In another minute there was not even room for this, and she tried the effect of lying down with one elbow against the door and the other arm curled around her head. Still, she went on growing, and as a last resource, she put one arm out of the window and one foot up the chimney and said to herself, "Now I can do no more, whatever happens. What will become of me?" Luckily for Alice, the little magic bottle had now had its full effect, and she grew no larger. Still, it was very uncomfortable, and as there seemed to be no sort of chance of her ever getting out of the room again, no wonder she felt unhappy. 'Twas much pleasanter at home, thought poor Alice, when one wasn't always growing larger and smaller and being ordered about by mice and rabbits. I almost wish I hadn't gone down that rabbit hole, and yet, it's rather curious, you know, this sort of life. I do wonder what can have happened to me. When I used to read fairy tales, I fancied that kind of thing never happened. And now, here I am, in the middle of one. There ought to be a book written about me. That there ought. And when I grow up, I'll write one. But I'm grown up now, she added in a sorrowful tone. At least there's no room to grow up any more here. Speaking of books, I've been printing out my daily status updates that I write usually first thing in the morning upon awaking, so that can be a bit weird. You have to laugh. I've printed them out. So one day, if I decide to be especially brave and have another thing I'm willing to fail at and potentially not get paid for, people of Earth, I'll pick out the more clever and more interesting dreams that I've been writing up and, philosophies, and I might turn it into a book and publish it. Be afraid, be very afraid. Yes, I know. Fear of failure, fear of success. But you never know what I might do, you know. Now that I'm all alone and isolated and abandoned and neglected and rejected, you know, I could write quite some stories and tales. Be afraid, be very afraid. But anyway, yes, because I used to read my daily journaling here on here on YouTube. I did that for exactly a full 12 months of going back over all my memories. And now I've got a whole year of fresh writings and fresh memories, but honestly, no one really cares. No one cares enough to listen to me or take much notice of anything I have to say, and maybe that's a good thing, you know. Maybe I function only as the zombie dancing queen, warrior goddess, zombie queen, and that too is an art form. Right, where were we? Talking about books. And when I grow up, I'll write one, but I'm grown up now, she added in a sorrowful tone. At least there's no room to grow up any more here. But then, thought Alice, shall I never get any older than I am now? That'll be a comfort one way, never to be an old woman, but then always to have lessons to learn. Oh, I shouldn't like that. Oh, you foolish Alice, she answered herself. How can you learn lessons in here? Why, there's hardly room for you, and no room at all for any lesson books. And so she went on, taking first one side and then the other, and making quite a conversation of it altogether. But after a few minutes, she heard a voice outside and stopped to listen. Marianne, Marianne, said the voice, fetch me my gloves this moment. There came a little pattering of feet on the stairs. Alice knew it was the rabbit coming to look for her, and she trembled till she shook the house, quite forgetting that she was now about 1,000 times as large as the rabbit, and had no reason to be afraid of it. Presently the rabbit came up to the door and tried to open it. But as the door opened inwards and Alice's elbow was pressed hard against it, that attempt proved a failure. Alice heard it say to itself, "Then I'll go round and get in at the window." "That you won't," thought Alice, and after waiting till she fancied she heard the rabbit just under the window, she suddenly spread out her hand and made a snatch in the air. She did not get hold of anything, but she heard a little shriek and a fall and a crash of broken glass, from which she concluded that it was just possible it had fallen into a cucumber frame or something of the sort. Next came an angry voice of the rabbit's. "Pat, Pat, where are you?" And then a voice she had never heard before. "Sure then I'm here, digging for apples, your honour." "Digging for apples indeed," said the rabbit angrily. "Here, come and help me out of this." Sounds of more broken glass. "Now tell me, Pat, what's that in the window?" "Sure it's an arm, your honour." He pronounced it arum. "An arm, you goose. Who ever saw one that size? Why, it fills the whole window." "Sure it does, your honour, but it's an arm for all that." "Well, it's got no business there at any rate. Go and take it away." There was a long silence after this, and Alice could only hear whispers now and then, such as, "Sure, I don't like it, your honour, at all. So as I tell you, do as I tell you, you coward." And at last she spread out her hand again and made another snatch in the air. This time there were 2 little shrieks and more sounds of broken glass. "What a number of cucumber frames there must be," thought Alice. "I wonder what they'll do next. As for pulling me out of the window, I only wish they could. I'm sure I don't want to stay in here any longer." She waited for some time without hearing anything more. At last came a rumbling of little cartwheels and the sound of a good many voices all talking together. She made out the words, "Where's the other ladder? Why, I hadn't to bring but one. Bill's got the other. Bill, fetch it here, lad. Here, put 'em up at this corner. No, tie 'em together first. Oh, they'll do well enough. Don't be particular. Here, Bill, catch hold of this rope. Will the roof bear? Mind that loose slate. Oh, it's coming down. Heads below." A loud crash. "Now who did that? It was Bill, I fancy. Who's to go down the chimney? Nay, I shan't. You do it." "That I won't, then." "Bill's got to go down." "Here, Bill." "The master says you've got to go down the chimney." "Oh, so Bill's got to come down the chimney, has he?" said Alice to herself. "Why, they seem to put everything upon Bill. I wouldn't be in Bill's place for a good deal. This fireplace is narrow, to be sure, but I think I can kick a little." She drew her foot as far down the chimney as she could and waited till she heard a little animal. She couldn't guess of what sort it was. scratching and scrambling about in the chimney close above her. Then, saying to herself, "This is Bill," she gave one sharp kick and waited to see what would happen next. The first thing she heard was a general chorus of, "There goes Bill!" Then the rabbit's voice alone, "Catch him, you by the hedge." Then silence. And then another confusion of voices. "Hold up his head, brandy now, don't choke him. How was it, old fellow? What happened to you? Tell us all about it." Last came a little feeble, squeaking voice. "That's Bill," thought Alice. "Well, I hardly know. No more, thank ye. I'm better now, and I'm a deal too flustered to tell you. All I know is something comes at me like a jack-in-a-box, and up I goes like a skyrocket." "So you did, old fellow," said the others. "We must burn the house down," said the rabbit's voice, and Alice called out as loud as she could, "If you do, I'll set Dinah at you." There was a dead silence instantly, and Alice thought to herself, "I wonder what they will do next. If they had any sense, they'd take the roof off." After a minute or two they began moving about again, and Alice heard the rabbit say, "A barrowful will do to begin with." "A barrowful of what?" thought Alice. But she had not long to doubt, for the next moment a shower of little pebbles came rattling in at the window, and some of them hit her in the face. "I'll put a stop to this," she said to herself, and shouted out, "You'd better not do that again," which produced another dead silence. Alice noticed, with some surprise, that the pebbles were all turning into little cakes as they lay on the floor, and a bright idea came into her head. "If I eat one of these cakes," she thought, "it's sure to make some change in my size, and as it can't possibly make me larger, it must make smaller, I suppose." So she swallowed one of the cakes and was delighted to find that she began shrinking directly. As soon as she was small enough to get through the door, she ran out of the house and found quite a crowd of little animals and birds waiting outside. The poor little lizard, Bill, was in the middle, being held up by 2 guinea pigs who were giving it something out of a bottle. They all made a rush at Alice the moment she appeared, but she ran off as hard as she could and soon found herself safe in a thick wood. "The first thing I've got to do," said Alice to herself as she wandered about in the wood, "is to grow to my right size again. And the second thing is to find my way into that lovely garden. I think that will be the best plan." It sounded an excellent plan, no doubt, and very neatly and simply arranged. The only difficulty was that she had not the smallest idea how to set about it, and while she was peering about anxiously among the trees, a little sharp bark just over her head made her look up in a great hurry. An enormous puppy was looking down at her with large round eyes and feebly stretching out one paw, trying to touch her. "Poor little thing," said Alice in a coaxing tone, and she tried hard to whistle to it, but she was terribly frightened all the time at the thought that it might be hungry, in which case it would be very likely to eat her up, in spite of all her coaxing. Hardly knowing what she did, she picked up a little bit of stick and held it out to the puppy, whereupon the puppy jumped into the air off all its feet at once with a yelp of delight, and rushed at the stick and made believe to worry it. Then Alice dodged behind a great thistle to keep herself from being run over, and the moment she appeared on the other side, the puppy made another rush at the stick and tumbled head over heels in its hurry to get hold of it. Then Alice, thinking it was very like having a game of play with a cart horse, and expecting every moment to be trampled under its feet, ran round the thistle again. Then the puppy began a series of short charges at the stick, running a very little way forward each time and a long way back, and barking hoarsely all the while, till at last, it sat down a good way off, panting, with its tongue hanging out of its mouth and its great eyes half shut. Like a constipated cavoodle, perhaps? This seemed to Alice a good opportunity for making her escape. Oh, you have to laugh. So she set off at once and ran till she was quite tired and out of breath, until the puppy's bark sounded quite faint in the distance. "And yet what a dear little puppy it was," said Alice, as she leant against a buttercup to rest herself and fanned herself with one of the leaves. "I should have liked teaching it tricks very much if I'd only been the right size to do it. Oh dear, I'd nearly forgotten that I've got to grow up again. Let me see, how is it to be managed? I suppose I ought to eat or drink something or other, but the great question is, what?" The great question certainly was, what? Alice looked all around her at the flowers and the blades of grass, but she could not see anything that looked like the right thing to eat or drink under the circumstances. There was a large mushroom growing near her, about the same height as herself, and when she had looked under it and on both sides of it and behind it, it occurred to her that she might as well look and see what was on top of it. She stretched herself up on tiptoe and peeped over the edge of the mushroom, and her eyes immediately met those of a large blue caterpillar that was sitting on the top with its arms folded, quietly smoking a long hookah and taking not the smallest notice of her or of anything else. And thus concludes Chapter 4 of Alice in Wonderland. I'll be back, no doubt, tomorrow with Chapter 5. and possibly 6 as well. So, wherever you are, in the space-time continuum, in this 3D reality, in planet hellscape paradise, be good and kind to each other. Live your best life, and remember, as always, to never ever let the bastards grind you, me, us down. And have a beautiful, blessed day with your true beloveds. And hold your own. Keep your head high. Shoulders back, chin up, chest out. All right, too much chest. Shrink it down a little, pretend I'm smaller than I am. But I'm still growing, people of Earth. Growing like Alice in Wonderland. Growing into my fullest, most luscious potentiates. Bye for now.